Hi everyone, we are Team 3 and our project focuses on improving parking in the Mission Hill neighborhood of Boston. Mission Hill is a dense residential area where most people rely on street parking. But because the streets are unmarked, parking becomes inefficient. Our project aims to solve this problem by adding clearly designated parking spaces. The project will be completed within 1 year with a budget cap of $50,000. By organizing how cars park, we can increase parking capacity by about 15%. That means more available spots for residents, less circling around the block, and ultimately less traffic congestion. And with defined parking spaces, we also reduce the scratches, bumps, and parking related damage. Overall, our objective is simple: create more space, reduce chaos, and make parking easier and safer for Mission Hill residents.
Our project organization is designed to ensure every phase of our project runs smoothly. At the center of our structure, we have our project manager who provides leadership and coordination across all of our phases. They also will oversee any major project decisions and updates that goes directly to the manager. Supporting the project manager, we have our transportation/traffic analyst who will help provide optimal parking spot dimensions. They will also help find parking spaces in the Mission Hill area, and they will also evaluate the impact on traffic flow. Then we have our administrative supervisor who helps manage budgeting, support, and important regulatory documentation. Under the administrative supervisor, we have our vendor administrator who works with contractors to evaluate who is the best contractor for our project. They will also provide quotes and schedule times for the parking spaces to be painted. Then we have our permit administrator who works with the city to ensure we have all of our permits in compliance. Then we have our community engagement lead and Mission Hill community worker who will oversee resident communication and outreach. And the structure will just help us promote accountability, reduce any project delays, and ensure community needs are met.
So for project implementation, this is where we detail the critical project actions, responsibilities, and timelines that are required for project completion. This consists of 4 different items. First, we have our work breakdown structure. So what that does is it divides the project into distinct phases, and then within each of those distinct phases, it assigns distinct actions. And so that allows the project manager to ensure that all actions that are completed during the project are within project scope. Then moving on, we also have our responsibility chart, which assigns an owner to each action item. And then for scheduling, we have 2 tools. We have our Gantt chart and our PERT analysis. So the Gantt chart just visually makes a timeline of the duration of each event. And then the PERT analysis allows you to see the dependencies of each action upon one another and allows you to identify your critical path for project completion. Then moving on to our risk analysis. So the way that we conducted our risk analysis was to first identify the presence of our risks and then identify the severity of those risks. So the first step is to identify your top 10 risks that we had. And then after doing that, we used 2 risk evaluation methods. We have a qualitative analysis, which is our risk matrix, and a quantitative analysis, which is our FMEA. And so for the risk matrix, what we did is we ranked the probability and impact of each risk. And then depending on that ranking, you either get a red, yellow, or green qualitative result, which indicates the severity of that risk. And then for the failure mode and effects analysis, we rank the severity, occurrence, and detection numerically for each risk, and then that gives you a value which you rank against your RPN, which is your risk priority number. And so if that risk exceeds your RPN, then that indicates you need to take an action to mitigate that risk.
So for monitoring and control, we have like 5 monitoring dimensions. Number 1 is scheduling. Number 2 would be budget, having a proper quality, stakeholder meetings, and what are the risks that will be having or implementing for this control and monitoring. So we will be using 7 essential tools. Number 1 would be WBS, Gantt charts, budget reporting, and risk management. So there are 7 phase reporting systems. The R1, R1 would be like a common lead. R2 would be permit. R3 goes for vendors. Then INT considers for project manager, R4, R5, R6 basically for traffic vendors, and FIN is for product manager as well. So along with that, we have four contingencies plans. The one would be scheduling the plan. Second would be having a proper budget. Third would be having a better quality of the plan, and fourth would be proper stakeholder meeting. And along with that, we have four-step escalation protocol. The one would be detecting, having a proper documenting. Third is escalating, and fourth and last is resolving. Next.
Right. So moving on to the financial plan for this project, there is a $50,000 budget, though this does include the costs of implementation and then maintenance costs as the lines are painted. Also, as mentioned, there is a budget set aside for contingency as risk management. The project utilizes a contractor to do the actual painting of the lines, and therefore our main cost is labor of the project team. Since this project is planned out under the assumption that there are no full-time project employees, and rather this project kind of borrows staff from required departments, and so therefore in the WBS, this is managed by assigning a percent FTE required of responsible party for doing the task. And I'll show that in the next slide. Also, for this reason, overhead costs are left out of the costing of this project. So here's a look of how that resource of labor is managed in Project Libre, which is our project management software that we utilize. Under each party, there is a list of tasks assigned to them, as well as the hours of work is scheduled to take. As I mentioned in the previous slide, to account for the team members having responsibilities outside of the project, percent FTE was put into each task. For example, here, the PM actually has 7 days to arrange routine scheduled repairs of the lines. However, this shows that it's only going to take them 2.95 hours. And in the bottom corner here, we have salaries that were estimated from the similar roles of employees on the City of Boston's payroll. Overall, this adds up to 418 labor hours that costs in total about $20,000. The contractor is estimated to cost about $6,000 based on the cost of paint lines in a very large parking lot.
And in conclusion, our Mission Hill Street Parking Optimization Project will help address residential parking shortages by increasing the parking availability by 15% and also reducing local traffic in the area. This project will be implemented in a 1-year time frame and includes a $50,000 budget. And that also includes maintenance costs for 4 years of any repainting of the line. This project is structured in 4 phases, all of which have clearly defined roles and responsibilities, and we also have a strong risk management plan. We will always track our project and ensure accountability for all roles for both the city and the community. And also, this project can serve as an initiative for a future citywide urbanization optimization project, as we can help create practices that can be applied elsewhere. With our planning, community engagement, and collaboration, we are excited to bring immediate long-term effects to the Mission Hill area. And thank you.